Good day everyone. We are here to discuss the following topics, and the first one is unionism and labor union. Unionism refers to the principle and practice of forming and maintaining labor unions. These unions are organizations that represent workers in a particular industry or professions, advocating for their collective interests. And unionism is all about workers coming together to form labor union to protect their rights, negotiate better conditions, and also ensure their fair treatment. For example, principle of unionism: workers unite because they're stronger together when negotiating with employer. For example, yung mga employees sa isang factory, bumubuo sila ng isang union to demand safe, fair working condition. And the second one is practice of unionism. Union actively negotiate for better wage, benefit, or policies through collective bargaining. For example, teacher in a city union negotiate for higher salary and smaller classroom size. And let's go to labor union. Act as collective voice for workers, empowering them to negotiate with employers from a position of strength. This collective bargaining power allow unions to achieve outcomes that individual workers might struggle to secure on their own. And labor union amplify workers' voice, enabling them to negotiate wage, benefit, and working conditions more effectively. Historical development of unionism. The roots of unionism can be traced back to the early day of industrialization in the 19th century. Factories and mines emerged. Workers faced harsh working conditions, long hours, long wage. Early unionism faced significant challenges, including opposition from employers, government hostility, and lack of legal protection for workers' rights.
The key contributions of labor unions. Labor unions have played a crucial role in shaping the modern workplace and improving the lives of workers. Meaning, ang labor unions ay mahalagang papel sa pagpapabuti ng buhay ng mga manggagawa. Improving wages and benefits. Unions have been instrumental in raising wages, securing better benefits, and establishing fair working hours. Ito ang naging pangunahing layunin ng labor unions, mga manggagawa. Sila ang naging susi ng pagtaas ng sahod, pagsesecure ng mas magandang benepisyo, at pagtatag ng patas na oras ng trabaho. Promoting workplace safety. Unions have championed worker safety regulation and standard, leading to a significant reduction in workplace injuries and fatalities. Naging tagapagtanggol sila ng mga manggagawa na nagresulta sa malaking pagbawas ng mga pinsala sa trabaho. Nagtataguyod sila ng ligtas na kondisyon sa pagtatrabaho para sa lahat ng manggagawa. Protecting workers' rights. Unions have fought for and secured legal protections for workers, including the right to organize, bargain collectively, and engage in strikes. Ang mga union ay nag-ambag sa pagpapabuti ng mga karapatan ng mga manggagawa sa buong mundo, upang matiyak na ang mga manggagawa ay may boses at proteksyon. They also played a crucial role in ending child labor and promoting equal pay for women. Promoting social justice. Unions have historically been at the forefront of social justice, advocating for civil rights and racial equality and worker empowerment. By organizing and mobilizing their members, unions have pushed for fair wages, better working conditions, and equal opportunities for all individuals, regardless of their race or background. This advocacy has helped bring about positive change in society and continues to be an important tool in promoting social justice. Enhancing economic stability. Unions have contributed to economic stability by promoting fair wages, fostering consumer spending, and advocating for policies that support a strong middle class. Ang mga union ay nagtataguyod ng mga patakaran na sumusuporta sa mga middle class. Halimbawa, ang mga union ay nagtataguyod ng mga batas na nagbibigay sa mga manggagawa ng karapatan sa abot kayang pangangalaga sa kalusugan at edukasyon.
The impact of unionism on the economy. unionism has a significant impact on the economy, influencing both labor's markets and overall economic growth. Wage compromission and income inequality, union has been shown to reduce wage compromission, meaning they help to narrow the gap between high and low wage earners. Sa pamamagitan ng kolektibong pagkikipag-ayos, ang mga union ay nakakuha ng mas mataas na sahod at mas magandang benepisyo para sa kanilang mga miyembro. Productivity and innovation. Union can promote productivity and innovation by advocating for investment in training, education for workers, consumer spend and economic growth by increasing wages and benefit for workers. Union contribute to increased consumer spending, which can stimulate economic growth. Ang mas mataas na demand ay naghihikayat sa mga negosyo na mag-invest, mag-hire ng mga maraming manggagawa at magpalawak ng kanilang mga operasyon.
Current challenges to unionism. Despite their significant contributions, labor unions face various challenges in the 21st century. Declining union membership. Union membership has been declining in many countries, particularly the United States. Shifting employment landscape. The rise of the gig economy and the increasing prevalence of non-traditional employment arrangement pose challenges for traditional union organizing models. Ang shifting employment landscape ay tumutukoy sa pagbaba ng klase ng trabaho dahil sa teknolohiya at pandaigdigang kalakalan. Halimbawa, pag-usbong ng BPO industry, ang paglago ng business process outsourcing BPO o call center industry ay nagbago sa traditional na trabaho sa opisina. Maraming kabataan ngayon ang pumapasok sa night shift dahil sa mga global na kliyente. Political opposition unions often face political opposition from employers and conservative groups who oppose their effort to regulate labor makers and protect workers' rights. Ang political opposition ay ang pagtutol ng ibang grupo o partido laban sa mga pulisya o gobyerno. Halimbawa, ang mga partido ng opposition sa Pilipinas tulad ng mga grupong kontra sa Maharlika Investment Fund ay tumututol sa mga pulisya ng administrasyon dahil sa takot na baka hindi maging epektibo o magamit ito sa korupsyon. The future of unionism. Despite the challenges, labor unions remain a vital force in advocating for workers' rights and promoting social justice. Adapting to new realities. Unions are adapting to the changing employment landscape by exploring new organizing strategies such as organizing in the gig economy by promoting workers' cooperative. Halimbawa, ay na-adjust ng mga union ang kanilang mga estratehiya para makibagay sa bagong kalakaran sa trabaho tulad ng pag-organisa sa gig economy at pagpapalakas ng mga kooperatiba ng manggagawa. Building coalitions. Unions are forming coalitions with other social justice organizations to address broader issues such as climate change, racial justice, and economic inequality. Malimbawa, nagipagtulungan ng mga union sa iba't ibang organisasyon sa pagsusulong ng social justice para tulungan ang mga issue tulad ng climate change, racial justice, economic inequality. Promoting public awareness. Unions are working to raise public awareness about the importance of labor rights and the benefits of unionism. Example, pupursige ang mga unions na ipaalam sa publiko ang kahalagahan ng karapatan ng manggagawa at benepisyo ng pagiging membro ng union.
Types of wage. Number 1, nominal wage. The actual wage paid to employees typically expressed in the terms of money. For example, $20 per hour. Nominal wage do not account for inflation or changes in purchasing power. Number 2, real wage. Real wage adjusts nominal wage for inflation, reflecting the actual purchasing power of the income. It shows how much a worker can buy with their wage given the cost of living. Number 3. Hourly wages. This is the wage paid based on the number of hours worked. It is a common sector like retail, manufacturing, and service industries. Number 4. Salaries. Salaries, a fixed regular payment made to employees, often not dependent on the number of hours worked. It is common a professional or managerial roles like a teacher, doctors, lawyer. Number 5. Piece wage. In this system, workers are paid based on the number of units they produce or tasks they complete, rather than the time spent working. For example, call center agent. They are paid per successful sale. Number 6. Commission-based wage. Workers receive a percentage of the sale or profits they generate. This is a common sales role such as real estate or car sales.
Performance-based wage, which are tied to an individual performance, often incentivizing higher productivity or achievement of specific goals. And also, it included bonuses, sales commission, profit sharing, and piece rate pay. For example, salespeople earn commission based on sales, while companies like Google offer bonuses for meeting goals. Living wage, a wage level that is considered sufficient to meet the basic need of an individual or family, including food, housing, and other essentials. This is often above the minimum wage. And also living wage, ensuring a decent standard of living. Minimum wage, the lowest legally mandated wage that an employer can pay their workers, intended to prevent exploitation and ensure basic standard of living. The minimum wage is a critical labor policy designed to ensure workers receive fair pay, though its effectiveness depends on how well it aligns with the cost of living and local economic conditions. Determinants of wage, supply and demand, and supply of labor. When there are many workers available for a particular job, wages tend to be lowest. When there are few workers, wages tend to be higher. And demand for labor is a particular skill or job is in high demand. Businesses are willing to pay more to attract workers. If a skill is not in high demand, wage.
Human capital. Human capital refers to the skills, knowledge, experience, and education that an individual possesses. Education and training. Workers with higher levels of education and specialized training generally earn more than those with less. The more skills and knowledge a worker possesses, the more valuable they are to employers. This statement emphasizes the importance of investing in education and training as a way to increase earning potential and improve one's career prospects. Experience. Experience is another key factor. Workers with more experience tend to be more productive and efficient, leading to higher wages. Experience translates to higher wages because it demonstrates a worker's ability to contribute more effectively and efficiently to a company's success. This is why employers often prioritize experience when hiring and are willing to pay a premium for it. Labor market conditions. Labor market condition refers to the overall state of the job market and how it influences the supply and demand for workers. Industry. Some industries traditionally pay higher wages than others due to factors like risk, demand, and profitability. The statement emphasizes that the industry a worker is in plays a significant role in determining their earning potential. Factors like risk, demand, profitability, and unionization all contribute to the wage differences between industries. Location. Wages can vary significantly depending on the location. cost of living, competition, and local labor market conditions all play a role. Location is a significant factor in determining wages. It's not just about the job itself, but also the broader economic and social context in which the job exists. Labor market conditions refer to the overall state of the job market and how it influences the supply and demand for workers. Unionization empowers workers to collectively bargain for better wages and benefits, creating a more equitable and fair workplace.
Government policies. Minimum wage laws. These laws set a minimum wage that employer must be pay their workers. Ang layunin ng mga batas na ito ay upang maiwasan ang pag-aabuso sa mga manggagawa at magtiyak nang mayroon silang sapat na kita upang matustusan ang kanilang mga pangunahing pangangailangan. Taxes and benefits. Government policies like taxes and social security contributes can affect the net income workers receive. Halimbawa, ang pagtaas ng buwis ay maaaring magbawas sa kanilang kita ng mga manggagawa, ngunit ang pagtaas ng mga benepisyo ay maaaring magdagdag sa kanilang kita. Individual factors. Negotiation skills. Workers who are skilled in negotiation and secure higher wages. Ang pagkipagnegosyo ay mas malamang na makakuha ng mas mataas na sahod, mas magandang benepisyo, at mas mahusay na mga kondisyon sa trabaho. Performance. Higher performing workers may receive bonuses and raises, leading to higher earners. Ang mga employer ay karaniwang nagbibigay ng mga insentibo sa mga manggagawa, nagpapakita ng kahusayan, dedikasyon, at kontribusyon sa tagumpay ng kumpanya. Job satisfaction. Workers who are happy and satisfied with their jobs may be less likely to demand higher wage. Ang kasiyahan sa trabaho ay maaaring magresulta sa mas mataas na moral, mas mataas na produktibo, at mas mahabang turnover rate.
Wages Fund Theory. This theory was developed by Adam Smith 1723 to 1790. This theory was based on the basic assumption that workers are paid wages out of the predetermined fund wealth. Ayon kay Adam Smith, ang demand para sa labor ay ang antas na sahod ay nakadepende sa laki ng wages fund. Halimbawa, kung maliit ang naipon o yaman ng isang bansa, mababa rin ang magiging sahod ng mga manggagawa dahil maliit ang pondong pinaghahatian nila. Subsistence theory. This theory was propounded by David Ricardo, 1772 to 1823. According to this theory, the laborers are paid to enable them to subsist and perpetuate the race without interest or diminution. This payment is also called as subsistence wages. Ayon sa kanya, ang mga manggagawa ay binabayaran ng sahod na sapat lamang upang pabuhay o magkaroon ng sapat na pagkain at tirahan. Sinabi rin ni Ricardo na ang sahod ay laging bumabalik sa subsistence level, kaya tinawag itong iron law of wages. Halimbawa, kung ang sahod ay sapat lang para makabili ng pagkain at tirahan, hindi magkakaroon ng malaking pagbabago sa kabuhayan ng mga manggagawa.
The surplus value of theory of wage. This theory was developed by Karl Marx in 1849 to 1883. This theory is based on the basic assumption that, like other articles, labor is also an article which could be purchased on payment of its price, that is wage. This payment, according to Karl Marx, is at subsistence level, which is less than in proportion to time labor takes to produce item. The surplus, according to him, goes to the owner. Karl Marx is well known for his advocacy in the favor of labor. According to farmers, labor is article or commodity which can be purchased on payment of a price. The price of any product is determined by the time and effort needed to produce it. This will happen when the price of labor is above equilibrium. Employers have an incentive to offer lower wage to reduce the excess of supply of labor. Residual claimant theory. This is developed to Francis A. Walker in 1840 to 1897. According to Walker, there are 4 factors of production or business activity: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. This theory admits the possibility of increasing wage through greater efficiency of employees. In this sense, it is an optimistic theory. The subsistence theory and wage fund theory were pessimistic theories. According to Walker, wages are the residue left over after other factors of production have been paid. For example of residual claimants, landlords receive rental income after mortgage, taxes, and maintenance.
Marginal productivity theory. This theory was propounded by Philip Henry Wicksteed and John Bates Clark of USA. According to this theory, wage is determined based on the productions contributed by the last worker and marginal worker. Her production is called marginal production. What is marginal production? Marginal production refers to the additional output generated when one more unit of an input, such as labor or capital, is added to the production process while holding other inputs constant. It is a key concept in economics and is used to understand how resources contributed to productions. And this theory states that under the condition of perfect competition, every worker of some skill and efficiency in a given category will receive a wage equal to the value of the marginal product of that type of labor.
The bargaining theory of wages. John Davidson was the propounder of this theory. According to this theory, the fixation of wages depends on the bargaining power of workers, trade unions, and of employers. According to this theory, there is an upper limit and lower limit of wage rates, and actual rates between these limits are determined by the bargaining power of employers and the workers. John Davidson, the earliest exponent of the bargaining theory of wages, argued that the wages and hours of work were ultimately determined by the relative bargaining strength of the employers and the workers.
Behavioral theories of wages. Their theories are based on elements like employee acceptance to wage level, the prevalent internal wage structure, employees' consideration on money or wage, and salaries as motivations. Ang kanilang pananaw ay nagbibigay ng mahalagang pananaw sa kung paano naapektuhan ang mga salik sa pag-uugali sa pagtanggap ng mga empleyado sa kanilang sahod. Many behavioral scientists, notably industrial psychologists and sociologists like Marcel Simon, Robert Dobbin, Elliot Casques, and has presented their views of wages and salaries on the basis of research studies and action programmers conducted by them. Sa madaling salita, ang mga teoryang ito ay nagbibigay diin kung paano naapektuhan ang mga salik sa pag-ugali ng mga empleyado sa kanilang pagtanggap sa kanilang sahod, at kung paano ito naapektuhan ng kanilang motibasyon at paggawa sa trabaho.